Welcome back to another episode of the Pitch Pod, everybody. I'm your host, Jeff Stebbins. With me, as always, my trusty co-host, Joe Janner. Joe, how are you doing tonight?
Jeff, I'm doing fine, as always. Glad to be a part of the Pitch Pod. Looking forward to this episode.
Absolutely. So the previous match, neither of us nailed it, but we both predicted that Arsenal would come away with the win. Arsenal came away with the win. It was a close match, 3-2. Joe, what are your thoughts on the game?
And probably starting with the end result, that final goal by Nketiah. I put it out there, I said it was going to be a late winner, right? With 1-0 to take the job, to get the job done for a win for Arsenal. It just so happened to be a little more exciting that with the back and forth and the result then a win for Arsenal with a late goal. So I was really excited by it. I thought that lived up to the billing of a intense rivalry match between two really good teams. And so it was really exciting to be a part of watching that.
Yeah, I agree. It was a blast watching that game. Man U showed up and competed as we thought they would. But 90th minute goal, it was a well-contested match on both sides. So I was not disappointed at all. I was kind of secretly rooting for Man U, but I did predict Arsenal would win and it'd be a close match, as you did as well. Something you didn't really note, I don't think, on the show last week, but you kind of told me over the weekend, just in one of our conversations, was you kind of anticipated that Martinelli and Saka might lose the ball quite a bit, and that could lead to counterattacks on the other side. And, lo and behold, I sit down, I watch the game, NBC, and I am a fan of both of those players, especially Martinelli. I think he's very talented. But, after you said that, I kind of kept an eye on it, and guess who's turned the ball over so often throughout the game, leading to opportunities and counterattacks on the opposing team. So, Joe, I want to give you some props there. I mean, you called that played out just like you said it would.
Yeah, essentially that first goal was that. I mean, it was an opportunity where they, I think, probably in training would identify those moments where they thought that they could trigger the press to win the ball and opportunities and quickly turn around. That first goal was just that, a result of Saka losing the ball, being pressured to lose the ball to play out and find Rashford pretty quickly in a quick strike that really wasn't stoppable. It was a brilliant goal on his part to give them the 1-0 lead. And I think I even somewhat suggested as well that was going to be what would open up the game to then be what we saw or what was in front of us is a back and forth and then finally a winner from Arsenal to go ahead. Very exciting.
Yeah, how about that strike from Rashford? Just knuckleballing it into right at the side of the net there, and the goalie doing his best, making a dive, but it was a perfect play shot. Incredible. It shows you the kind of caliber of player he is and what's ahead of him in his future. But the goal that really stood out to me as kind of one of the more significant ones, kind of more of the setup ones that showed another athlete displaying a lot of athleticism, was the second goal, in which there was a cross in to the box and you see an incredible header, and he got really high up in the air to get in, and again, perfect placement. So I kind of felt that second goal set the tone for the rest of the match, and it was just back and forth. And I was super impressed with that. What was your takeaway with that second goal?
Well, that's what they needed, a quick response to going down early at home, and they put themselves in position to create that opportunity, the chance, and sure enough, Nketiah got up and finished the draw level. And I think, like you suggested, setting the tone. This was gone. It's on now, in a sense, for both sides at that point. And so it was very exciting goal to get things going and get things moved forward in that contest.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm becoming a big fan of Ten Hag. Absolutely. But is there anything that you felt that Man U should have done that game that they didn't, or did they show up and play the best that they could and just couldn't get it done? What I mean, is there anything else you would have done specifically to tactically change what he did, or would you have kept the lineup as it was?
More so along the lines of as it was getting late, 2-2, I think for what? It was after the 60th minute or so where it was drawn level, probably in a sense need to go for it. And I think they're a little bit too conservative, a little bit too reserved in finding opportunities, whether it could have been a substitution or a change in formation or tactics to get them that third goal to go ahead. I still more so question if at that point, at 2-2, they were more than satisfied to go out of there with the draw when chances are with the way the match was set up that they could have had a winner for themselves. So maybe that's the only question in I would ask is if they were at that point just okay with the draw as opposed to maybe opening up and going for the win.
That makes sense. Yeah. And then looking ahead for the next match that we chose to focus on, it's the FA match, fourth round, and we have two of the top teams in the Premier League. We have Man City v Arsenal for this upcoming match. And as you know, Arsenal is ranked number one still with that win over Man U in the previous match. And Man City coming off a big win against the Wolves, Haaland with a hat trick, which I'm sure we'll talk about, and number two in the league still at this point with for Man City. So we have a big, a big match coming up with two of the top teams, big stars. They're both going to show up, both going to be ready to play. So I'm excited for this one. This is one of the games I'm more excited for. And I'm really curious to see how Haaland performed because, yes, he had a hat trick in the last match, but I would say the competition wasn't as strong in the last match. So what's he going to do against an Arsenal, a number one ranked Arsenal team? That's the question. And I'd like to see how he does against them and whether or not he shows up for this one or, I'm going to say something a little controversial here. Is Eric Haaland that good? Right? Is he just scoring all these goals against competition that's not quite up to par, kind of at the bottom of the league? And when it comes time to play these big teams, he's a little quiet. And I know that's a controversial statement, but I just want to put that out there. Is he as good as his statistics show? Right? He's obviously good, but the number of goals he has, does that reflect his playing ability is my question.
We have to put the point down that this is a different competition, though. This is the FA Cup. This is knockout round tournament football. Winner goes on, loser goes home. So you have to imagine that these are types of contests and games that maybe that type of player does rise to the occasion in a sense. And if it were a different time of the year in a different place, you have to wonder if there'd be some different lineups, but I think you could almost look at this match as being the dress rehearsal, if you will, for an upcoming English Premier League match featuring these two sides. So I think we're going to see Haaland featuring in this contest, and I do believe, given the opportunity, he'll show up and perform at the highest level, whether it, again, be in an FA Cup fourth round knockout match or English Premier League. I think that, and if you ask the question whether or not he'll score, I have him scoring in this one.
Okay, interesting. And again, obviously he's a great player. It's just his stats right now are through the roof. Goals, he's even getting quite a few assists. I'm just wondering if how accurate those numbers reflect what's going on. Obviously, Man City's a great team with De Bruyne, Morez, Phil Foden. So I expect them to show up and do well. But I do have another question for you, Joe.
Sure.
So you said that Haaland's going to be scoring in this match. I think that's a fair statement. I'm a little bit more hesitant to say that, but is he scoring off a PK or how is he going to be scoring in this upcoming match?
That's a good question in a sense. Yeah, I didn't quite qualify the prediction there and giving you more details, but I think it could be through the run of play. I could see him again challenging the two center backs of Arsenal, providing just difficult situations. You always see him if you watch him. He's making runs consistently. Is it a moment where a couple of two center backs switch off and he gets in between or gets around, gets himself into an open position and what we've seen in the league is that for the most part, when he has those opportunities, he finishes. So I'm going to go ahead and say through the run of play, situation where he finds himself in between the two center backs and with the ball, maybe first time scores, just powers it on to score a goal in this one.
That's fair. That's fair. Now, I do want to remind you that Man U found a way to just completely shut him out of the game and not let him get his touches. So, are we expecting to see that strategy from Arsenal? Right? Do we learn something about when you play against Man City from that? Is that a strategy going forward that other teams are going to take? Or was that just an off day for Man City, an off day for Haaland, and not to be done again, not to be expected to happen again?
I think that to the first point, yes, other teams, opposition, are going to be looking at how he fared in certain contests and look to see what they did to limit those and probably implement, if they can, with the personnel in place to follow that in a sense. So yes, but again, I think in this contest, given that he gets the start, given that the opportunity is there, I think he rises to the occasion. And again, he's going to score this goal. And whether it be the winner, whether it influenced the match, the final result, I can't say. But I have him again showing up in this contest, given whether he starts or comes off the bench. I think there's got to be a plan in place for him to be productive and to do what he needs to do. Yes, Arsenal doesn't need to count for that. Different side, different team than Manchester United. Again, kind of gone and said it multiple times, different contests. And then in those instances, players tend to do different things and rise to the occasion.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. And so I fully expect Arsenal to be coming out ready as well, coming off that big win, still number one in the league by a pretty good point margin. Um, are their main guys that they're going to be relying on for this match? Am I going to expect to see Saka, Martinelli? Are those the most dangerous goal scorers that they have? And should I expect them to see a lot of? Should I expect to see a lot of big plays coming out of them for this upcoming match?
Well, as I've suggested before, this being the match of the week, in the sense that there's no other contest in place and almost being a dress rehearsal again for upcoming, I think you're going to see all the key players of Arsenal featured. And if they're to win, if they're to get through this contest, it is going to require a Saka and a Martinelli to really rise to the occasion and find themselves. And Katia also, I mean, we've talked about before the means and the way that Arsenal has multiple goal scorers and they get it done in multiple different ways. So I think that's something that you can expect as well. Again, could this be a contest where it takes some time for one or the other to score? And is it going to be late? Is it going to go level into extra time and then goes a penalty? I don't know. So we'll see. But again, those two names that you mentioned, I think could be very influential in this match as well. And if Arsenal is to get through and to win, they're definitely going to have to show up.
Yeah, and kind of going off of what you said to me about the turnovers from those two players specifically and leading to counterattacks. If I'm Arsenal's coach, I'm keeping my mind on that. Who's more likely to give the ball up in situations, and how can we limit that? Is there any way to move possession and still have those guys incorporated, of course, in the play, but not necessarily always being forced to be the playmakers? So that would be my perspective. I would hope that their manager would be as aware of that situation as you were. I mean, you pointed it out, and had you not said that when I was watching the game, I wouldn't have thought twice. But I mean, you nailed it. So hopefully that's something he's aware of.
And I think so. And taking into account what Manchester City is going to provide in this contest is also a part of the problem that needs to be solved going into this. But as the manager, it really is about his squad, the 11 that he puts out there to start, and making sure there's a clear understanding of what they're going to do to play. Yeah, you can't be against the Manchester City side that's going to want to dominate in possession and give the ball away. So finding those means and ways to support those. I think what you saw, Zinchenko, the way that he provided support, I mean, he almost found himself even in the left back position all over the pitch in the match versus Manchester United. Maybe that's what he's going to put that into place, implement that strategy as well into this next one, where you can find the interchange between what Zinchenko and Xhaka were doing there, where at times Xhaka was outside on the left, and then you had Zinchenko pushing inside and providing support in the middle. So I think there's a lot of ways that Arsenal are finding to be very productive in possession, again, limiting the opportunity to give the ball away is going to be a key. What Manchester City does to provide that or to account for that so that they can then have the ball, I think is also part of what Pep will be preparing his team. So I think it could be very much back and forth, maybe not a side ever really dominating, but more so which team can come through, limiting mistakes, which team can come through when they need to finish, do they get it done? I think that's the type of contest that we're going to be in for with this, again, this FA Cup tournament knockouts contest.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And Joe, I'm ready for my prediction. I'm excited. I'm interested in hearing what you're going to say and what your prediction is. Hopefully, I don't just copy what you're going to say. But Joe, whenever you're ready, why don't you take the lead this time?
Well, I think with, again, where they're at the table and the contest to look ahead and all the fanfare that goes along with, again, a tournament knockout match, I think Arsenal goes home after this. And what I mean by that is I have Manchester City win. I have them actually winning 2-0.
Okay, so I don't think we have a threat of me copying you. So you have Manchester City winning 2-0, just to make sure, right?
That's correct. Write that down.
Okay. All right. I shouldn't be as worried then. I have a drastically different outcome happening. And that could happen. That very well could happen. Both top-notch teams, and it depends who shows up. Is Haaland going to be hot? I hope so, but I'm curious to see how he does. I do think Haaland will score one. I do. He is a talented player. You're right. He has awareness. He knows where to be, make those runs. So I see him scoring one, not three, not a hat trick, but I do see him scoring one, which is, that's a major contribution. I'm going to give Arsenal. I can't bet against Arsenal when they're on this winning tear and just coming off that huge win against Man U. I know the game's at Man City, but I got to go with Arsenal still. And I think we're going to have a repeat in the score of the Man U match. I think it's going to be a similar game, similar outcome, just back and forth, back and forth. And I think that we're going to see Arsenal winning this game 3-2.
Okay, so pitch pot here, not quite aligned in our prediction, but that's why we show up to have these conversations and maybe add some more intrigue and excitement when we're not quite making a same prediction. So I'm looking forward to this match. I think, again, it being the first of the fourth round matches on a Friday, it adds some excitement to it there. Looking forward to this week's match of the week.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if Haaland does score a hat trick, I might be feeling pretty foolish. So I might have to take this video down if Haaland scores a hat trick. In full disclosure.
Okay, fair enough.
And Joe, I believe that you have quite a few push-ups to do as well, being that Haaland does continue to be on his goal-scoring streak. So I hope you've been training
to get to 25. That's where we're at right now. 25 push-ups.
That's 25 for now, but I mean, if he keeps up this pace, you could be doing what, 40?
That's the word on the street, in the sense of a lot of folks I've heard also additional predictions as far as, yes, can he get to the 40, which means yours truly is going to have to provide proof of that ability to do 40 push-ups. So got to get on it, Jeff. Got to get on it.
There you go. Hit the gym.
You got it.
Well, everyone, thank you for watching. We hope you enjoy our content here at the Pitch Pod. Please like, subscribe, and as always, keep pitching out there, everyone. Thanks. Bye.
In a game, the round ball, round posts, anything can happen.